Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at how Q2 went in my Take a Note for 2025. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, I love this planner so much. And this is the only one that's in my 2025 lineup that I am sure is coming into my 2026 lineup because I have found a way to use this that works for me. And I just love it so much. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the journal itself. I apologize if there's glare because I do have the clear cover on it that comes with from Take a Note. I purchased my Take a Note directly from the brand. This is their A5 version, and this is the English version. I believe they only have an English and a Taiwanese one, and that's it. They don't have different layouts. They don't sell blank notebooks or anything like that, which I wish they did. They do sell some other sizes though. I decorated the front with stickers earlier this year, and I love that I can see all of that, and I love that I have the clear cover to protect it. Even though I leave this at home most of the time, it still gets scuffed up because it is a full year that I'm going to be using it. I did share a previous video where I talked through the first quarter of this book and kind of what I'm doing in here and my approach and how it's changed over the year, because this is the first time that I'm using a Take a Note product. So it did take me a little bit to kind of adjust and get used to this book. My main goal with this book was to have something to be functional planning. Okay, so first of all, to say, like, this is it's got Tomoe River paper, but it is a slightly heavier weight than the Hobonichi, and it is just better quality. I don't know if what brand it is. I'm guessing it's not the Sanzen. I'm not super familiar with like all of the different rules about the paper, but I can just tell you that this is like the dreamiest paper. And I wish that this brand made like blank notebooks or something, because I just love it and I want to write on it all the time. So it starts with, we've got this calendar here. I did mark off my paydays on here, but I have never looked at this once. I think that's fine like that. This tracker is something that I haven't seen in other journals or notebooks, and I'm using it to track exercise, and I have loved it. It is so nice and so quick and easy. So the first row, so you have 2 rows per month to track. So the first row, I'm doing just my steps. So I have a key up here of how many steps. And then the second row is specific exercises. So I've been doing a lot of yoga, so you can see that here. And hopefully it will start picking up with some other activities. I wasn't expecting to like hike or play pickleball in the winter, but now that it's summer, I would think I would do more. But unfortunately, we have had a pretty rough summer with weather, so haven't really gotten outside much. Then it has these trackers, the same as a lot of these types of journals do, like the Hobonichi with the monthly. It's got like a vertical for each month and then a space at the bottom. So the only thing from this that I really use that has worked really well is at the bottom here, I have been putting like deep cleaning tasks that I want to accomplish that month. And then I do this in kind of, it's sort of a bullet journal style where I put a bullet, and then if I have accomplished that task, I will write the date in that month that I did it. A little caret means that I moved it forward. A caret forward means that I moved it forward because I didn't complete it. A caret backward means that I completed it early and I moved it forward or backwards. So you can see kind of that I did that and then I moved them here, and that's kind of how this came together. At the top here, I was using it for a key when I was using this planner a little bit differently, so it doesn't really make sense. I wrote in some stuff, kind of doesn't really do much, but it is what it is. I'll maybe come up with something different from the beginning of the year for that. Then we get into our monthlies. So like I said, I use this for functional planning. Oh, that's the wrong quarter. So I set these up using the Coffee Monster Co. stickers, and I have set these up in my Plan With Me videos. I have a monthly Plan With Me video, and I do set up this journal or planner, whatever you want to call it, in that video. So here I'm just using this for future planning. Mostly I'm marking in appointments and that type of thing, holidays, when I don't work, and not really anything super decorative. I mean, I added a little bit, but not like in the days. I'm adding the holidays with the stickers, but besides that, it's really not that much decoration. On the side here, I do have my tracking for my deep cleaning, which I have not been doing a great job with, but my goal is to clean all of these things every month. The cleaning only goes to like there, and then it's like other tasks like cleaning out my digital files and my inbox, and then like the long-term cleaning. So what I do is I will go back here, and when I'm setting up like May, for example, I will take all of these things and put them on here, and the ones that I didn't accomplish earlier that I want to get done, because this is like my ultimate goal of like to do all of these things. And you can tell I didn't do them all. Sometimes I think I don't mark stuff off, but yeah, I will write in the number of the date when I actually do it. These long color stripes here. So the very bottom row is always my work schedule. So I have a full-time job and I work Monday through Friday. And so I will put in that very bottom line, if something else is going on. I did write something else there because I didn't have space. But I will put if I'm not working or if I'm working elsewhere. So the TC is because I'm working from home. These are days I wasn't working. So here I had all this time off because I was traveling. And then the second line there is the travel. So I marked that because I know then I'm not at home. And then here, like there's a holiday, I have a past day. So I work full time, but I work 9 out of 10 days. So I have these past days. So it's really nice to be able to just at a glance see when those are going to be. Then on this side here, I'm putting the kit that I'm using for Project Life. And that is helpful for me when I'm going through, because sometimes I will use a specific kit that has like a theme or plan. And then that way I can look at it while I'm living my life and kind of think about what stories to capture. This was travel, so it was a little bit different. But then like in June here, there wasn't any travel. So it's like each week, I just do weekly Project Life. Then we get into the bulk of the planner. So let's see, quarter 2 starts in April. So this is kind of about when I started adjusting my style. So if you want to see more about how my style adjusted, you can check out my previous video. And I did talk about, I think, some of the April pages in there, but I'm just going to go through them again with you guys because I can't remember exactly where I cut off. But essentially the setup in the take a note is you have a week on 2 spreads, and you've got a column here at the left of the first page that has one little horizontal weekly per day for the entire week. And then you've got a column, which is a half of an A5 per day. So when I first got this planner, the first thing I was a little shocked by was how small these columns were. I was thinking, oh, a half of an A5 is pretty big, but really there's a lot of border space. So you don't have a ton of space as far as like journaling. I have seen people use this for a daily journal, but for me, that doesn't really work that well because that just wouldn't be enough space. And the way I journal, I like to have the whole page so I can kind of play with product and not necessarily coordinate across pages. But you can see here, I'm starting to kind of develop a style in here. At this point, I was kind of mixing things up a little bit, but eventually I will kind of figure out what I want to do. You can see I'm doing some memory keeping in addition to functional planning, which is where I ultimately land with this. So how I'm doing this planner now is I am using this part fully for functional planning. The left portion of this is my schedule. I'm putting my meals, I'm putting my appointments. So I'm pulling those directly from my monthly calendar and putting them on here so I know what I have that week. Then I'm doing a task list for the entire week, a meal list, and I have started doing a tracker in the future. It's not showing up yet here in April. Then for the rest of the spread, what I'm doing is the top portion is for my functional planning. So for every day, I will put my important meetings and my to-do list. Some days I don't really have that much that I'm in here, especially like if I'm in the office, because I do not use this for work tasks. Those are secret. I am a tax attorney, so I have a lot of like privileged information. So I don't put any of that in my personal planners. Instead, I have a separate work planner that only has work, and I don't share it on the internet or with anyone. And that is where all of those tasks are. So this is only kind of personal tasks. So on days that I am working a lot, it won't really show up. I won't really have a list. Usually when I work from home, I still have a list because I'm still at my desk at home and I can use this and write stuff down. And then I can do things after work because I tend to have more energy when I'm working from home. And then the bottom half of the page is for functional planning, or not planning, journaling. So it's for memory keeping. And essentially I needed a place to memory keep that could be quick and easy per day and be a good reference for me when working on Project Life. So I do not necessarily keep up with my Project Life album all of the time. I'm usually a few weeks or maybe months behind. And this way I can just come in here and say, okay, what happened during this week? And I have the highlights here. So I did kind of fall off of this when at the end of April going into May, because I was going to travel. I printed my pictures and I never came back and did this, and I don't think I'm going to. And you can see I didn't even functional plan. I was really, really stressed right here because I was getting ready to go on a long vacation. And then I did not bring this with me on my vacation. So those weeks are going to forever just be like that, and that's okay. Going into my vacation, I needed to fill these in. So I used this to do my Taylor Swift Ranked, which is where I chaotically rank the songs. This is something I think Claire from online started, although I think she got the idea from someone on TikTok. I don't use TikTok, so I don't really know what's over there. But this is kind of where you just listen to the songs in a random order. Well, not totally random. You use like a spinner wheel to pick an album and randomly, and then you listen to that album in order. Then you pick where those songs would rank just randomly. So you'll listen to the song and say like, I think this song will be 120 and write it in. And that's just kind of, so it ends up being very not exactly what you would want your official ranking to be, but it's fun. And it gives you a chance to kind of listen to the entire song discography. I really want to do this more because it's really fun, but there's not a lot of artists that I know all of their songs and have enough songs that this would work. So I think I did it with Toby Keith before, but I haven't, when he died, but I haven't done it with anyone else. Then here's just a blank page because I didn't have anything to use there. I might come back and use that because, so like here's some blank pages that were from that trip. I came back and I'm using these for like long-term lists of things that I want to keep track of. And then I have another one here. And then back to my standard style in here. So I think that this is kind of what I'm going to do. So one of my complaints about this journal is there are not blank pages. So it basically goes through the weeks and then there are 2 blank spreads at the end and that's it. Most other journals or plans have like 5 or 6 blank spreads, so you can create some like long-term collections, but there's no like extra pages at the beginning or anything. So for me, that is a little bit of a struggle, but what I decided is because I'm not going to use this when I travel, I can use those pages to hold these other random lists and things like that. And so that will probably be part of how my plan goes next year as well. Okay, so here's when we got back from our vacation. And this is kind of, I was getting more into exactly how my style was going to look, but I was also super behind when I first got back from vacation. So it took me a while to fill in some of these pages. So they're not really necessarily my favorite. And I didn't really do them in order. But you can see essentially how I do this and kind of how I've done it now is during the week, I will use this for functional planning and I will write everything I need over here. I will do my to-do list. I will put some important notes and that type of thing in here at the top. And then I will come back at the end of the week. I will put some photos from the week and then add in the highlights of kind of what was going on, like TV shows I was watching, things we got, like bigger events. You know, I went and got some vaccines. I'm playing Switch here. We bought a couch and I'm adding in some doodles and stickers and just having fun with that. And I really, really enjoyed that process. I was playing with a lot of my fountain pens in here. Like I said, this is like the best paper ever. And writing with a fountain pen in this paper, on this paper is just, it's like a dream. I've a lot of gel pens too. It's just like such a great smooth paper. So I've had a lot of fun playing with different colors. I also like to kind of add some large titles. And then I've been adding a couple memes and that type of thing when I just didn't have anything else to fill in. This was week in the life, so I didn't need this additional kind of memory keeping in here because I documented so much my week in the life album. If you are not familiar with week in the life, that is a documenting project where you basically document 1 week in your life in super detail. So you take like a lot of pictures of just ordinary life and just kind of what does your life look like now. And I created a separate journal for that, and I will link that in the description box below if you are interested in seeing the flip through of how that came out and hearing more about that project. But essentially I didn't want to leave it blank, so I came back in here and added these kind of stickers and things from Cocoa Daisy, and then just put like 3 bullet points per day to kind of commemorate like an overview of what happened. And I kind of like the switch up. I might do that again, not for week in the life, but just kind of to have a little more like cohesiveness across the spread and use up some of these days of the week stickers that I have. But then here we're getting back into my normal style. So this is kind of my go-to where I'm just doing like headers and some journaling, stickers, doodles, and photos to kind of talk about everything that happened. Sometimes the top part is a little messy because that is actually functional planning, but it's okay. Like I feel like it's gotten better as I go on. And I'm okay with it because I feel like it comes together as a page once I put the memory keeping in. So one of the reasons this wasn't working well for me before as just a functional planner was because it wasn't super pretty. When I'm just using his list, there was a ton of blank space, and I wasn't excited to be in it despite loving the paper so much. So this has given me an opportunity to really enjoy being in this journal. And that means I look at it more, I use it more, and that's just a win. Here you can just see how my style is kind of evolving a little bit. I've started doing, and this is what I'm doing now, I'm doing a tracker over here for these like a few tasks that I want to do every day, so I don't have to write them on my list. I was doing the weather here for a week. I don't do that all the time. I do kind of like it, but I forget to write it down sometimes. And I am doing a weather tracker in my Hobonichi Cousin, so I don't want to duplicate too much stuff. And then here you can see I was doing this where I was adding some color for like where I was working and then specific meetings and appointments that I had. And then I had my to-do list. And that was kind of a fun way to make the top part a little bit more decorative. And then we're moving into July. So that is the end of the second quarter. I have really kind of found my rhythm in here in July, and I really am happy with how this is working for me. I will share another video with you guys at the end of quarter 3 so you can see how quarter 3 comes together. But yeah, I'm loving this. I don't anticipate any changes, but I will share in that future video if I do. But right now, this is kind of my plan for using this. And I think that this is going to be my plan for using this same notebook in 2026. Do you guys yet know what you're going to use for 2026? I am planning on sharing a lineup video with you guys fairly soon with my initial thoughts. And then once everything comes in, I will definitely share a video setting up my plans. But I can't believe it's almost August, which means it's almost time to start thinking about our 2026 planner and journal lineup. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And as always, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.